We are going to work through Module 2 of our Microsoft Word section of this class. Microsoft Word Module 2 is creating a research paper. In your textbook, you will read about the difference between the MLA and the APA style. You will find some additional directions about the MLA style, because that is the style that we are going to be using for this project that we're working on. There's a section that gives detailed information as far as font size, spacing, line spacing, and all of that. It also talks about the documentation style, that we'll be using the parenthetical citations throughout the text, or throughout the text of the report of the paper that we're typing up. At the end of our paper, we will create what is called a works cited page. Okay. It is sometimes helpful to have your non-printing characters showing. So if you're on your home ribbon and you want to turn those on, you can just click that button in that paragraph section to turn those on. The first thing that we need to do is change the style of the normal style to modify it to be the correct settings for our research paper. Since our research paper is double-spaced, we have to set the font to the correct font and the correct size. So we're going to do all of those things, and then we're going to make those changes to this normal style. So to do this, we're going to go to in the style section on our home ribbon, we're going to go to the normal. We're going to right-click and choose Modify. In the font, or the formatting where it says the font, we are going to change that to Times New Roman. Yours probably is not going to show up like mine, so you can just start typing in TIM and it should come up to the T's, and then you may have to scroll to find Times New Roman. We do want to use a 12-point font, so we're going to change this from 11 to 12. The other thing that we need to make sure we do is down here towards the bottom, we want to make sure that where it says only in this document, there is a button that is selected. Then we're going to click on the OK button. I know we need to make some additional formatting changes, but we're going to do that on the next section here, so you can see some additional ways to make these adjustments. Our line spacing does need to be set to double spacing. So basically that means we'll have a line of text and then one blank line and then the next line of text. By default, Microsoft Word has a default setting of 1.15. So instead of a true one line right after the other, there's 0.15 spacing between each line of text by default. So we're going to change that to be a double spaced, so we actually have one whole blank line. To change our spacing on our home ribbon, in the paragraph section, there is the line and paragraph spacing. And so we will click on that drop-down arrow there, and you'll see that we can just go down to where it says number 2 and choose the double spacing there. The other thing that we need to do, we learned this back in Module 1, is some of our paragraphs have additional space put in. Again, by default, Word has an additional 8 points of space after a paragraph. So once you've pressed your Enter key to move on to a new paragraph, that previous paragraph has some additional spacing. We learned how to do that in the Layout tab last module. We can do that from our home ribbon as well. When we go into the line spacing, you will see that there's a choice to remove space after a paragraph. So we'll select that choice. We modified our normal style to Times New Roman, 12-point font, and then we came back and we modified the line spacing and the spacing after the paragraph. So what we need to do now is, because we have changed two other things, we need to come to our normal style up here, and we want to update this style with those two previous changes to the additional two changes that we made. So we're going to click on Update Normal to match selection. Before we get started with our research paper, we are going to create the header of our research paper. So we'll come up to the ribbon and we're going to click on the Insert tab. And then on the right-hand side, you will see a section called Header and Footer. And we're going to click on the header, and you will see that there are several preset headers that are already created for you, and you can scroll down and find some. We do not want to use any of those. What we're going to do, we're going to come down here and choose Edit Header. When we do that, it moves our active insertion point to the header section. Now you will see on my screen the the insertion point is on the left-hand side, and you see the paragraph sign. We want, instead of being a left justified paragraph, we want this to be a right justified paragraph. So we need to go back to our home ribbon, and we're going to change from align left to align right. And that's going to move our insertion point over to the right edge of this paragraph. And this is where we will type the writer's name. And I want to make sure I type that right. So we're going to type capital Y-A-Z-Z-I-E. We'll press the space bar. And then we're going to put in a page number. If you just type in the number 1, it will show up as a number 1 on page 2, page 3, and page 4. So we have to put in a special page number that is a field, and it will automatically change as it goes from page 1 to 2 to 3. So because we're in our header, we need to come to our header and footer toolbar. On the far left-hand side in the header and footer section, you will see that there's a page number button. When we click on the page number button, we are going to find the choice that says current position, and then we want to choose plain number. So that will put a number in after our name in our header. We're ready to close out of the header. You'll see up here on your header footer toolbar, there's a X there to close the header and footer. The other option that you can use is you can come down underneath that dotted line and double click with your mouse, and that will toggle you between the header section and the document, the work section of your document. So either way that you close out of the header is fine. We are going to now put our the name of the person that's writing this and the course information. So this is going to be right at the top line here. We're going to type Nina Yazzie. And press the Enter key one time. It's going to leave that one blank line, and we're going to type the instructor's name, and then the course, and the date. Press your Enter key. Now we're ready to put in our heading, and we are going to learn to use a function called the click and type feature. Now you'll notice once my I-beam gets to the middle of the page, the little icon by the I-beam changes to the center justification. If I move it back to the left, you'll see that it changes to left justification. If I get it at about the ½ mark, you'll see that it changes to left justification with an arrow, which identifies that as a tab or an indentation on that first row. So that would be a first line indent paragraph. And then you can also take it all the way over to the right of the page, and you'll have the Align Right icon. So whatever icon you see, when you double click your mouse, that's where it will take you for the alignment of that. Since we need our heading of our paper, or the title of our paper, centered, we will click in the middle, and then we are going to type our heading. Press your Enter key, and you'll see that we are still in the center of our document, and we are ready to start typing our report. And we know we do not want to type it while we are all centered in our page. So we need to go back to left justification, and there's different ways you can do that, of course. So you can use your click and type. You can use Control-L. You can do a right click with the mini toolbar. Oh wait, it's not there. Never mind. Or you can go up to your home ribbon and the paragraph section there. So any of those ways get us back to the left margin. In your textbook at this point, it talks about shortcut keys for formatting text. And so you can read through those and learn Control-L, Control-E, all of those different things to help you learn keyboard strokes, so you don't have to take your hands off of your keyboard to your mouse to make some simple changes. We are going to use our ruler to set our first line indent. And so if you don't have your rulers showing, you will need to go to the View menu, and then in the Show section, you can choose to make sure there's a check mark in that ruler box there. To set our first line indent, as I said, we're going to use our ruler. The left edge of our ruler, where the edge of the paper meets the margin, is identified by this, I call it an hourglass shape. So you have a downward pointing triangle at the top. This is your first line indent. And if you move it over, it's going to move the first line of any paragraph over. If you can grab the bottom triangle, then that will create what's called a hanging indent. So as you type, the first line will be at the left margin, but then once you word wrap around to the second or any other lines that come after that, they will be indented a 1/2 inch. That is the way we will have our works cited page formatted. So we'll use that hanging indent. If you grab this square at the very bottom, that is your left margin. So that will adjust the left edge of your paper where you can type. So that is your left indent. We want that to be lined up there where the margin shows. So we're going to grab the top triangle and move it over to the 1/2 inch mark, and that is where we want to type the first line of the paragraph. Then when we word wrap, it will automatically move all the way back out to the left edge. So we've got our first sentence typed there. In the next section of your textbook, it wants you to work using the autocorrect as you type. Most of you probably are already familiar with that because all of us probably mistype the word and or the or some others multiple times. So here they have you mistype the word the. So I'll type TEH, and then when I press the space bar, it's automatically going to change that to the THE. Now, when I move my mouse back over that, you will see that there is a small blue box that's hidden behind my large green mouse. There's a little blue rectangle that shows up underneath the T. You might be able to see it there a little bit. And that is your autocorrect where that just lets you know that that has been autocorrect. If you put your mouse on it, it will pop up into a button that is your autocorrect options button. And we'll talk more about that here in just a little bit, but if you are for some reason needing to have the word the mistyped, as would the author in this textbook because they wanted it to be typed incorrectly, then you could do change back to TEH. If you had something that it was continually doing that and you needed it changed to a different spelling of it, you could say stop automatically correcting TEH and just leave it at that. We'll talk more about these here in just a little bit. So we'll go back up to the word the, and then we'll finish this sentence. Put a period there after that sentence. So the next part in your textbook talks about that autocorrect options. And you can go into the autocorrect options and create your own entry. So the way that we do that is when you go into the if I can get that to click there. Okay, so if you go into this autocorrect options button, you have the option of going into the control autocorrect options, which is the quick and fast way to get where we want to go. If you're following along with your textbook, they have you go there in a different route. They have you go to File, all the way down to the bottom on the left side that says Options. Then we have to choose Proofing, because this is dealing with spelling. Then you will see the autocorrect options section at the very top of this proofing screen. We'll click the autocorrect options button there, and it opens up our tab where this is the autocorrect tab. So everything that you see in this first column down here, if you type what you see in this first column, it will be replaced with what you see in the second column. So we're going to come here where it says replace text as you type, and we're going to mistype the word computer. C-O-M-P-T-U-E-R. And then on the right hand side, we're going to type it the right way. When we click add, you'll see that it's been added down here. So now when you mistype the word computer with a T-U-E-R, it will automatically change for you. So this is how you can add those words that you have problems with doing mistyping on. All right, so I'm going to say OK here. I'll say OK here. I'm back at my document. And I am ready to start a new paragraph, so I'm going to have to press the Enter key. Notice, because I used my first line indent, that my paragraph here, my second paragraph, has automatically jumped over to that half-inch mark and is indented for me. After we have ended that last word, fingers, We want to press the space bar, but we are going to enter our first parenthetical citation here. So we do not want to put in a period just yet. So let's make sure we have a space in there. I'm going to make that a little bigger for us. Okay. And now we need to go to our References tab because we're getting ready to put in our first citation. We need to make sure that our references are set up correctly. So in our References page, we're going to come, or tab, we're going to come to the Citations and Bibliography section. And the style is set to APA. We need to click that drop down arrow there, and we're going to come down and choose the MLA option. Now with our mouse here after the word fingers, we are going to come up to our reference ribbon again, and in that Citations and Bibliography, we're going to click Insert Citation, and then we're going to choose to add a new source. When we choose Add a New Source, we need to make sure that we have all of our documentation with us for that particular source, because it's going to ask us for all the pieces of information that we need to have. This first source is an article in a periodical. So right now the source type is set to book. We need to click our drop down arrow there, and we're going to find article in a periodical. And then we'll click on the author. And press your tab key a few times, or you can just click with your mouse down where it says title. Now you can tab, and the periodical title is Monthly Medical and Review. Okay, so the year is 2021, the month is July, and the day is, it was just a monthly, so it wasn't published on a specific day, but we will go down to the pages, and because this is a web periodical and not a hard copy or a paper periodical, there are no page numbers. So in the pages, we are going to type in period space PAG period, and those are all lowercase. So that just lets us know that there are no page numbers because it's all on the web. And then our medium is the web, so we'll type that in there on that last row that we see. So we can click on our OK button here, and you'll see that it puts the author's last name in after the text thumb and first two fingers. So now we need to oops, I'm sorry, I skipped ahead too soon. All right, so we need to go back into this Zao source. So I'll go back in there and edit it. We need to choose, I forgot, because this is a web page we have to show when we access it. So back in our source, and let me cancel out of that because I did that really quickly because I know how to go back in and do that. So if you closed out of it early like I did, you'll still have your insertion point there. We're going to go up on our References tab. On that ribbon, we'll go into the citations and bibliography, and we're going to choose Manage Sources. We only have one source in our current list. We will select that, and then we're going to choose Edit. Now we have to click on the Show All Bibliography fields, and as we scroll down, you'll see that the web has disappeared, and so you'll see it down a little bit later on. But what we're looking for is, because this was web-based, a web article, we need to come down here and show when, what year we accessed it, what month we accessed it, and what day. So the year is 2021. The month is October. Because we are using an abbreviation with those first 3 characters of October, we are then going to put a period behind that, and the day accessed was the 1st. We will click OK. And it's saying that it is over here in our master list too. Do we want to update it? We'll just say yes to that. And then we can click the close button. Right. If you pressed your End key on your keyboard, it will take you to the very end of this row that you're currently in. Then we can type a period there. So we want the period to be after the citation. We need to hit the space bar 1 time because we're going to start a new sentence here. So now that we have our second paragraph completed, we are going to be putting in a footnote reference mark. When we insert a note reference mark, it will put a little superscript here where our insertion point is, and it will put a matching superscript in the bottom margin area, the footer area, where we can add the footnote that we want at that location. So to get started creating a footnote, we have to be at the location where we want the insertion point to put in the superscript. So we want it after the period. So we're going to go up to, and we have to be in our reference tab again, and then in the footnotes section, you're just going to click Insert Footnote. That's going to put a small superscript 1 there, and it's going to bring you down here to the bottom where you actually will be able to type your information that goes in this footer. So our information here is, according to So I got my spelling or my typing errors fixed there. And we need to put in a placeholder for this citation and this reference that we will be using. So we want to make sure that our insertion point is after the untreated, and we put a space in there. And then we're going to type Clark. I'm sorry. Skip the section. We're going to come up to do Insert Citation, and we want to choose Add New Placeholder. And this is where we're going to type Clark. Then we're ready to type our period, and we can move on. As you might notice, our footnote does not necessarily match the rest of our document. It's single space and it's much smaller font. So we're going to make some changes to that footnote style. So to modify a style using our shortcut menu, we are going to right-click anywhere in the footnote. So once you have a right-click selected, then we're going to come up to Style on that pop-up menu that we get. So this should be showing that we are looking at all styles, and then our style is a footnote text. And what we want to do is we want to make some modifications to this. So we're going to click the Modify button, and we're going to change, or we're going to make sure the font does say Times New Roman. And then we can actually change the size of the font to 12. Previously, we changed the double spacing outside of our dialog box, but you can do it in here. This is single spacing. This is spacing and a half, or 1.5. And then the last one here is your double spacing. And it doesn't look that way on your screen, and there's not any screen tips to tell you that. So that is why we did it the other way the first time. But if you know that's what they are, you can always click the double spacing there. Now, the other thing that we need to do is set our first line indent. So we're going to do that in a little bit different way too, because we can do that right from this modify style window that we're in. So we're going to go down to that lower left corner where it says Format. We're going to click that button, and it'll go up to Paragraphs. And in the indentation section where it says special, we are going to change that to a first line indent, and it should be set to 1/2 inch. So now we can click the OK button. We'll click the OK button again, and then we can click the Apply button. We'll go on to edit a source. So we've put our source in here for Clark. So we're going to make some changes to that source. So we'll click inside the Clark citation. We'll click on the drop down arrow where we get a little menu that pops up, and we want to choose Edit Citation. Because in our footnote we said, according to Clark and Nadir, who are the authors, we have that information already given. We do not have to have their names listed over here as part of this parenthetical citation. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on this drop down arrow here, and then you'll get a little dialog box that pops up. And we want to add I think I skipped a part here. Okay, we're going to edit the source first. Sorry, we'll cancel out of that. Okay, so we'll click on the arrow here, and then we're going to go up to say Edit Source. Well, really, we have to enter the source because we haven't made any changes to it yet. Well, I guess we have, but so we're going to choose the type of source is going to be a book, and this book we have multiple authors. So instead of typing them in right here, we're going to go to the Edit button, and then they have us just type in this information here. So our first author is Clark. The first name is Addison, and the middle name is Lee. Then we can click the Add button, and we'll put our second author in, which is Nadir. Asia, S-A-T-I. We'll add that person. That's the only two authors, so we'll click the OK button, and you'll see that how they came in up there. Now, if we click on the title, we are going to type repetitive strain injuries. You can tab down to the year, 2021. Boston is the city. Lighthouse Publishing, and this is a print medium. We'll click on OK to close out of that. All right, so now that we have our citation, our source information put in there, it's showing up here that it's Clark and Nadir. This is where I was telling you earlier, we don't need to have their name listed twice. So what we can do is we're going to click here on this arrow, and we want to do Edit Citation. And instead of putting their names, we're going to put their page numbers where this information came from. It is a good idea to click on the little check marks for suppress author and title. When we say OK, you'll see that it changes to the page numbers that are there. We are now ready to type the next paragraph. So we have to make sure that we come back up to where we put that footnote mark in the previous paragraph, and then we are going to press our Enter key. Again, first line is indented for us automatically. So we're almost done typing the first page of our paper. The textbook talks next about how to count words in your research paper. And down on your status bar, which I'm not seeing mine right now, but it does have yes, here it is. I'll do this. Okay, so down here on the status bar, it does show you how many words you have typed in your document. And if I, I have 231 words, and I was looking in the textbook to see that is what I should have. If you click on the word count that's on your status bar, it will open up this word count dialog box here, and this will tell you how many pages, how many characters, all this. There's also a check mark there to choose to include text boxes, footnotes, and endnotes as part of your word count. So if you are instructed that those cannot be counted, you need to make sure that you take that check mark out. As we get to the end of our page here, you need to understand that once your page 1 gets filled up of text, it's going to take you to page 2. That automatic movement from page 1 to page 2 creates what's called an automatic page break or a soft page break. It's something that the computer figures out on its own. There is a thing that is set to not let one line be at the top of the next page by itself and not let one line be at the bottom of the page by itself. And so you might see some movement there when you're doing papers that go more than one page as you work with editing, adding, taking stuff out, moving things around. but whenever the computer does this for you, it's an automatic or a soft page break. We're going to talk about a different type of page break that we put in manually here once we get done with the second page. All right, so we need to finish the rest of this paragraph. So make sure you've put a space bar after the word sound period. We are ready to put in a citation at this point. And you may have noticed if you're typing through with what your textbook has, they have mistyped the word hearing. You're supposed to have that there, and you're going to fix it whenever we do the spell check. If you typed it correctly, that is fine as well. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we are going to come up to Insert, Citation. I will point out here, once you have entered a source, that data is stored here, and so if you need to use that source in a second or third location in your paper, if I was wanting to use the Zao source now, all I have to do is click on it here. I'm not. I need to do the Insert Citation, and then I'm going to just do a new placeholder right now, and this is going to be Sanchez, and then I will click OK, and then I can type a period. So we'll have to put Sanchez's information in here in just a little bit. The next topic in your textbook shows you how to hide your white space. Mine is already hidden, but let me double click here. When you go from page 1 to page 2 or from 2 to 3 and you're in page layout view, you'll see your margins, all this white space around here. Well, when you get to the end of page 1 and the beginning of page 2, that's all you really see on your screen. Especially if you have a smaller screen when you're using a laptop or a tablet or something like that. So you can put your mouse between the two pages. It turns into that double-headed arrow pointing towards each other. Double click. It's going to hide the white space, and all you'll see is the page break is a light gray line that goes all the way across, and that's where you know one page ends and the next one begins. If you want to have that white space show back up again, all you have to do is find your line that's across there, look for the two arrows pointing away from each other this time, double click, and that white space will show back up. We're going to go in and put the citation information in here. So we're going to be in Sanchez, and we're going to click on the drop-down arrow for the citation options here, and we're going to choose Edit Source. And our type of source this time is a website. So we'll have to scroll down and find website. And our author is Sanchez Jorge Mario. Okay, this does not have a year, month, and day. We need to just come down and say the year that we accessed it was 2021. The date that the month was October, again with the abbreviation OCT with the period. The day that we accessed it was the 1st, and then the medium is web. And that's all we need to do. We'll click OK to close out of that website, or I'm sorry, that dialog box. And then we can press our End key. It moves us to the end of that Sanchez citation. We should be after the period that we typed, and we'll have to use the space bar. Oh, I'm sorry, we're going to press Enter. New paragraph here. So this is our last paragraph. If you haven't done so, you might want to save your research paper at this time. Also, I didn't tell you guys this earlier, but hopefully you are getting that that file name from Cengage when you go in to download your start file and support files, so you don't have to type all that in. We have our research paper completed now. And so what we are going to do is we need to find a way from where we are right now to get to the top of the 3rd page. And we don't want to do that by pressing the Enter key all the way down, because if you do that, then it's going to throw things off whenever you do have to go back in and edit, delete, add, things like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to put in that manual page break, or what we call a hard page break. Now, I learned this years ago using the keyboard, which is Control-Enter. I have a real hard time remembering which tab it is in up here. I think it's, yes, the Insert tab. And then on the left-hand side, it says Pages and Page Break. So we can click that. And if I scroll up here, you'll see that it has this dotted line with page break in it. And that lets you know that that's automatically been set. Now, what happens if we add some lines to this and it scooches that down? That moves down the page just like it would if it was just a regular paragraph, or a text line in a paragraph. So the next thing that we need to do is we need to make sure that our Works Cited row is going to, in fact, have the words Works Cited be truly centered. Right now, because we still have this first line indent set, it is not going to be centered. It would be centered between this area and this area, but not between the full sheet of our paper. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our Home ribbon. And then you want to make sure you're on the paragraph mark here. And then if we go up to the styles and click normal, the first line indent was not part of the style modification that we made. So when we click normal, it takes that first line indent away, and it moves us back to the left margin where we can get ready to insert our works cited. So we need this line centered. So you can do Control E. You can come up here and do the center icon. And then we're going to type works cited. Press your Enter key. We need to go back to the left margin. So Control L, you can click and type. You can use your left align button. And now the easy part, to create our bibliography list. Well, we have typed all of that information in. So now all we have to do is click and put in our bibliography. So we will go up to our references ribbon, and then in our citations and bibliography. This is the easiest way to make a bibliography, but I always get people that do it incorrectly because they don't read the directions. They just look at the screen and they pick what they think they are supposed to pick. What you need to do is go to the bibliography drop down, and you will see that there are some that are built in. And so this is what your bibliography would look like. And if you notice, it has a blue heading that's left justified. The references, same thing. It has a blue heading with left justified. We do not want that. In fact, we already have a heading called Works Cited, and it's centered, and that's where we want it to stay. So we don't need any of those pre-built bibliographies. So we just want to come down and choose this bottom option that says Insert Bibliography. It's going to insert it in the MLA format based on the data that we've entered into those source dialog box. So here you see they've done it, it's put in alphabetical order. This one has the two authors here. The second row is indented, so that's what that hanging indent. And then everywhere that you need periods or italicized or commas, it has put all of that stuff in there for you. So that is what is the really nice thing about learning how to do this and learning how to do it properly. So once you have this all done, then you're ready to do some proofreading. As we have done proofreading, we have noticed that there was an error in one of our works cited, or one of our sources. So we have to go back up in here to on our references ribbon to the Manage Sources, and then we're going to make changes to that. So the one that has the error in it is the Zal reference. So we'll select it over here in our current list, and then we'll click on Edit. And what we need to do is where the periodical title is, we need to come in and remove the word and. Now, you'll have to make sure that you also remove that extra space in there after you've got the 3 letters erased from and. I will tell you one thing. I'm not certain that spell check checks any of these sources. So I see a lot of people get mistakes or get counted off because they don't have something typed in their source dialog box correctly. So we've made that change. We'll click the OK button. You will get this message that tells you this, or the reason I'm getting it is because this same reference is over here in my master list. I'm not sure how it got over there, but I'm going to change it over there. I'm going to make sure it's changed in both places anyway. Then I can close out of my source manager. But as you come and look, the name of our periodical has not changed. Well, that is because we need to update this. When we did insert, it put everything in based on what was put in those dialog boxes. Now we have to update this. So we can, anywhere that is grayed out, we can right click and you'll get the option to do update field. And it's going to take that word "and" out and just put monthly medical review. Now it does in your textbook show you how you can change this to what's called static text, or text that you can just edit from right there in your work space. I don't know that I would recommend doing that, just because if you're needing to use that source later on, you might as well have the information that's in there that is correct. So they're going to have us look at our navigation pane. That's under our View tab. If you click this in the Show section, the navigation pane, that pops up over here on the left-hand side. It may pop up on your right-hand side. I don't know. So right now I'm looking at the navigation. I can search for things. I can search for headings. I can search for a certain page. I can search for results that I type in there. But your navigation pane, this would be very beneficial if you're having like a 10-page paper or something, where as you look at the pages here, you can see all three of them. If I move this over, they're going to go in a single line. So you can see them and you can move back and forth between them very quickly. You can also choose to go to a specific page. So right now I'm on page 3. If I want to go back to page 1, I can just click on it and it moves me up there. Okay, then we can close out of our navigation pane. It may pop up here again in just a little bit. Okay, we have realized that we have included something in our second paragraph that needs to have a citation with it. So it's the next to the last sentence in this paragraph. And so actually we need to be at the end of that sentence. So it's right before that last sentence that we used our superscript on. So we're going to go between the D and the period. So where it says keyboard, after the D, before the period. And then we're going to come to our references tab on our ribbon. And we are going to do insert citation. And then we are going to choose the Clark and Nadir. So here it just popped that in there for us, which is kind of handy. In fact, before you begin doing your research paper, you could sit down and add all of those sources in if you wanted to, and then when you need to add them, you can just click them and put them in. Okay, so actually this is supposed to be down here with this superscript. And so it needs to be after injuries. So you'll have injuries, space, then you're going to have the Clark and Nadir, period, and then the superscript. So they have you do this intentionally so you can learn how to move these things around. So in our citation here, if you put your mouse on the top left-hand corner where those little 3 dots are, you're going to be able to click and drag, and then we're going to drop between the S and the period. And I have an extra space in there, and you probably will too. So you just need to make sure you go in there and remove that extra space. If we go up to our home ribbon, you can use your find in your editing section here. Your find option, that opens up your navigation pane again. And so you want to search your document for the word auditory. And once you have that typed in there, it will pull up on your document where those are. And you'll notice here on your paper, it shows a little icon of that as well. Yeah, I think if you're on results, it gives you a partial sentence of where it's at, so you can maybe find that easier. But it also highlights them for you. So now you could read through both of those, and you're like, I don't know if I like the word auditory there. I think I'm going to replace both of them with the word listening. So to be able to do a replace, we're going to come back up here to our home ribbon in the editing section, and we're going to choose the replace option. So now it says to find what is auditory, like we just looked for, and then we're going to type in listening. And then when you click replace all, it's going to tell you that 2 replacements were made. And in fact they were. Here are the 2 options that were auditory and are now changed to listening. To use the thesaurus, you're going to identify the word that you would like to potentially change to a different word with the same meaning. So we are going to find the word continual. And second paragraph of our paper. Okay, so here's our second paragraph. I'm going to close out of my navigation pane so I have more room. And then we are looking for okay, so continual continual shifting. Okay, and so we want the second case, continual here, taking continual breaks. So we want to change this to a different word that has kind of the same meaning. So we're going to right click and we'll get our shortcut menu, and you should see the synonyms options, and then you'll see constant, frequent, incessant, and we are going to choose frequent. So now it says taking frequent breaks, but it only replaced one of them, and up here it still says continual shifting. If you press the Control Home, that takes you to the very beginning of your document. Maybe. I got function keys in here. I don't know which functions do what yet. So anyway, you want to go back to the beginning of your document. Control Home should do that for you for most of your computer screens. So to check our, to run our spell check, we'll go to our Review tab, and then we want to I don't know why I'm not seeing the spelling and grammar. Okay. So our spelling and grammar, so it stops on the teacher's name, which we can just ignore. And then there is one suggestion for grammar, and if I remember correctly, it does have those dots underneath it. Yeah. So it's and also. Down here in our last paragraph, I think hearing is that one that we were supposed to mistype, but we didn't. Okay, so what we want to do is we can look over here at conciseness, and it says that we should just use the word and, not and also. So we can change it to just say and. And I will say okay to that. And I'm not sure, oh, I know, because I'm on my laptop instead of my other computer, because I've never seen the editor icon there before, so sorry, that threw me a little bit. The next section in your textbook talks about the custom dictionary that you can create on your own computer. You can go in and add things to your dictionary. And you can also change them to different languages if you need to. Okay, then it talks about saving and printing. We don't need to print. To use a smart lookup, all right, so we're going to look up headphones and earbuds. I think that's up here in our first paragraph or so. Oh, I lied. It's down here. Okay, so in the last paragraph on the first page, headphones or earbuds. So once you have that selected, then we're going to come up to the References tab, and you'll see a Smart Lookup there. When you click on the Smart Lookup, it opens up the search pane over here, and so you can look for definitions, web results. You can change this to look for pictures only, or files or help on it. So that's one way of looking or using that Smart Lookup option that they have there. And they have us close out of that. The researcher button is very similar. If you click the researcher button, it opens up the researcher pane over here, and then here is where you could type in so we'll type carpal tunnel syndrome, and then when we press our enter key, it'll bring up information about that. So that's just a couple of different ways that you can find out additional information. The next part of this has you change the zoom to multiple pages, and that just is going to let you see all three of your pages there at a time, so you can kind of see what the overall look of it might be. They do have you change to read mode, so I am in the View tab, and I'm in Print Layout mode. If I change to read mode, then I'm only able to see the reading part. I don't see really any of the text, the status bar or the taskbar. At the top, I don't see any of the tabs or the menu bar up there. So the other thing you can do while you're in this, and they have you change the page color to sepia, which gives it more of that look like an actual paper book instead of the bright white. I think they do have you go ahead and put go through printing there, but we don't need to go through printing. So a lot of times when you are doing your research paper, it is nice to get some comments back from people. If you have somebody look it over and just say, hey, give me some feedback, what do you think I need? Well, they can do this electronically by putting in comments now, and they don't have to mark your paper all up. So we want to select the next to the last paragraph, which should be physical conditions. Okay, so, oops, I'm in the wrong spot here. Okay, so we have the text selected, and then we'll have to go out of the reading view, and to do that, just going to click back to edit document. Okay, so now I'm back at my regular document. And I have selected that next to the last sentence in that, or actually I guess it's the first sentence in the last paragraph. And I'm going to click on the review tab. And then we're going to click on the simple markup. Then we're going to click on Show Comments button. So we'll see those comments that we're typing in there. And then we're going to click New Comment. And so you'll see a little cloud come out here. You can click on that and type in there if you want to. I'm going to change this view back to one page. Okay, so I'm going to come down here to what I had selected. And my comment. Wonder if I can make this bigger. Yes. Okay. So here's my comment. I'll just type right in here. So we'll type, let's cover the hand and arm exercises in our brochure for patients. Okay. I have no idea what that says. Well, I know there's something wrong in there, but I can't tell. Let's cover the hand and arm exercises. Now I can see it there. So I can't see it in there, but I think I got it changed. So so that's how you put in a comment. And then you'll see a little icon show up out to the side that lets you know that there's a comment there. And you can click on the comment and read the comment. Now, you'll also notice that, well, we have to put in another comment. So let me find this. The last sentence of the fourth paragraph. Okay, so this is lower volumes. And we want just the word loss. We don't want the author's name there. And then in our new comment, we are going to type, oops, that's not where I want to be. I want to be here. Okay, so that's just telling me that there's a comment there. And now I want to choose this sentence right here. Lower volumes can help minimize potential hearing loss. And so then if we want to put in a new comment, I don't know why it's not bringing up. I haven't set something properly. Okay, I thought I changed that to simple markup, but whatever. Okay, so this is not the right one. I need to delete it, so I can just right click and go up and delete that. And then for this one, I actually do want to type in, let's stress this point in our brochure for patients. Okay, so then they want us to go in and edit this. So we're going to edit oh, I put that in the wrong place. Well, we can move them. Okay, so let's cover examples of the hand and arm exercises. So here we would go and we can okay, why is it not letting me? Okay. Well, I'm just going to come over here and type. Let's cover examples of the hand and arm. So I just made that over here in the revisions pane. Maybe that's what I'm supposed to be doing it. I don't remember doing that when I went through this earlier, though. Go to a comment. You can click on the next, the previous, and you'll go back and forth between those. All right, so if we want to, we can click on a comment that we want to reply on, click the reply, and then you can type in your bit of information there. Okay, excellent idea, exclamation mark. Make sure you put that exclamation mark in there. And then it has us hide and show comments. All right, so we want to click on show comments. Takes them away or puts them back in. That's a toggle button. We want the comments to be seen. Okay, so we're going to go into where we made this reply here, and we're going to remove that. So you can just right click, go up and choose delete comment, and that comment is gone. So if you get one in the wrong place, you should be able to go back in and take it out. And then if we go to one of these others and we just click the resolve, then it goes away as it has been taken care of. So I'm just going to do that for both of them. Okay, you can delete all comments if you want to. Coming up here to your section that talks about comments and just choose delete all comments in the document. There is also a document inspector that it talks about in this module, and then we are going to exit out of Word. So we are done with this. So you want to make sure that you do your save again, and then you can close out of this, go in, submit it, see what you got as a report, and then resubmit again. So hopefully that will be helpful to you going through Module 2.